Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of your Frederish podcast. My name's Gary, and here I am one more time with you, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Let's start talking about today's topic. You already know, you've probably got interested in it, so that's why you're here with me, I hope. Or, of course, the most important factor is to get to practice English. So without further ado, go get your cup of coffee. It's a little bit chilly today, I would say, and I totally recommend you go for something warmer and just sit around, cozy up, get comfortable, because we're about to get it started. Well, I am afraid today's topic is going to be a little controversial to some people, but let me make a very important disclaimer before I even get to it. That is, the purpose here is not to be disrespectful towards people, saying that things should be this way or that way. No, that's totally not the purpose of this episode. That's totally not my way of going. I like discussing things. I like analyzing society's factors, so to say, but without ever, never pointing fingers and saying, this is right, this is wrong, of course, except for obvious wrong things, okay? Not like things that are a matter of point of view, things that are right for one person and not right for others, okay? So that's my important disclaimer. So let's get started to it. Well, first of all, let me just repeat it out loud. The main purpose of this episode is to get you to practice listening skills, so you can get to hear, spoken and spontaneous conversation, which is what I'm doing right now, by the way. And of course, get to learn a few more new words related to this subject. That is something that everyone has or will have talked about, or has been or will be one day interested about. That is the romantic relationships, right? Relationships in general, human relationships in general, is something really interesting. It's a very interesting topic for discussion. But romantic ones are a little bit more special, okay? But my main point here is, like, I'm a married guy, okay? So I've been with my wife for the past 12 years, including, the dating period, I'm married for almost 8 years, thank God. So I'm not the best person to say, the things that are going on right now, how romantic relationships are going today. But of course, I'm a Gemini. I talk to people, I'm not involved into these kind of things, the things I will talk about. So there will probably be a lot of flaws, a lot of mistakes, okay? Or biased point of views in terms of, like, hey, I'm not there, But I really want to talk about. I talk to people about it, some friends, some students of mine, most of them in their 20s, most of them pretty young, and I can't help but notice the gigantic difference, that there is a gigantic difference between the way people get together today, the way people date, the way people make out, if you will, today, and the way it was 20 years ago. Of course, it's no surprise, because I'm always talking about the drastic, difference, the drastic changes that occurred in the past 20 years, right? Most of them, not to say all of them, related to technology, to internet connection, to remote, to telecommunications in general, right? And of course, this would inevitably have affected the way people relate to each other in all senses, not only in the one we're going to be focused today, right? And that's what I want to talk about in this episode. So stick around, stay tuned, and let's get to it. Well, the first thing I want to say, if you're old enough, if you're older than 30 at least, okay, you will, when you talk about the times when you were a teenager, a single person, if you're not single anymore, of course. But anyways, even if you're single today, like let's just embark into this ship to the past. So basically, let's go a few years ago, a few decades ago, 2 decades, 20 years to be more specific. Things were way different, the way people related, the way guys would approach girls, okay? I remember when I was a teenager that if I was interested in a girl, of course I'm talking about when I, was like in my, when I was like 12, 13, 14, So back in these days, I don't know if this is like everywhere, it was everywhere like that, but I have reasons enough to believe. You tell me here in the comment section below. But when you weren't interested in the girl or boy, someone else would do the quote unquote bridge. Okay, someone else would walk up to this person and say, "Hey, my friend is interested in you. What do you say?" Short terms. Because back in the days, yes, there was internet. I always say that, but it wasn't even close to what it is today. Okay, in all senses, in terms of accessibility, in terms of the number of people using that. You could have a cell phone if you were a really rich person, but like, who are you gonna talk to on your cell phone? The best you could do in terms of romantic application of a dating application was like show off, and it would work, guys. Let me tell you that if you had a cell phone in the year 2004, 2005, you were the guy. I mean, for 2004 and 5, maybe not so much, but like, let's say a few years earlier, 2002, 2003, my goodness, it was like something. Okay, today everyone's got one of these suckers in their hands. So yeah, but anyways, so let's take this difference, like there's no internet era, and come back to 2024, where not only you have internet connection to chat with people through your social medias, but also this little thing called dating app. Okay, if you're young, if you're single, maybe even if you're not young, but if you're single, you probably are into it. Okay, you're using it, or if you're or you have used that. Okay, or you used that before. Okay, this is something that has got really common. Everyone has got. Every single people who is interested in meeting new people and getting to date and and kiss and the other things that I'm not allowed to say in this podcast because it's a family podcast, but you guys know my point here, is signed up to these apps. Okay, there's a lot of controversies, there's a lot of criticism towards. I don't want to address these points, but the point is, it seems to me, guys, okay, forgive my ignorance, because as I say, I'm out of the game, but it seems to me that today it's way easier meeting people. Okay, it's way easier, getting people. Let's say boys or girls, depending on what you're into, but it's way easier, right? And I've like watched a few and listened to a few podcasts, people, most of them young people, criticizing and saying that this has caused a gigantic problem. I'm using the adjective gigantic too often, right? I'm gonna quit it. This has created a enormous problem to society, according to this point of view. I'm not saying I agree with this, at least not entirely, but yeah, I can't help but get worried about the future, okay? Because I'm a father, I have a kid, and well, the way things are going, if this is as bad as some people say, we really have to do something about it. Maybe, I don't know. My point here is, today people, single people get, to know and meet way more people than not 20 years ago, but 10 years ago, 15 years ago, right? And this facility, let me put it this way, it's kind of a worrisome, okay? Because this has made really, I wouldn't be happy having my 16-year-old daughter, for example, dating a 30-year-old guy, even if the guy was a good guy, eventually things would settle down, but my first reaction would be a little bad, I would say. But anyways, I like very young people dating, as I said, in this, like, colleagues, peers, school people and everything, way more than they would do years ago, right? Than we would do years ago. And well, it's a common sense that if you're doing something a lot, you kind of close some doors to other things, So, for example, like, if some people don't, realize how much of this intensity can be potentially dangerous, okay, it might not be dangerous to everybody, but it gets dangerous to most of people, I kind of agree with people who say that we might have some real trouble, not to mention the fact that the universal knowledge, the universal understanding that the more you do something, the more it gets old, For example, in my generation, when we would like get to meet a girl, in my case as a boy, and get to kiss, the process of getting to meet a girl and getting to kiss her was a kind of a long, and we would cherish all of the moments, we would get to know the person better, we get to know ourselves better, inevitably, we get to get better, do things, start doing things, to impress the person we were interested in. I'm not saying everybody was like that, of course not, but most people were. At least that's what I remember. That was my point of view. Totally open to anyone who disagrees, but basically that. Okay, we understand that the dating apps have made things way easier, okay? But in my opinion, it has more pros and cons, maybe. I never use one of those, but apparently, especially if you're young, don't get me wrong here, guys. I'm not saying young people should not date. Much to the contrary, I think that they should totally date, okay? But of course, no different in my time than it is today. That, like, responsibility, right? Let's be responsible, otherwise you may get hurt, right? To say the minimum. But yeah, okay. There's another factor that has changed society forever. That is internet/social medias, right? Okay, today let's talk about the girls, right? But the boys in a way lesser potential, but yeah, okay, way smaller potential, way shorter potential, but specifically girls, right? Today it is really easy for relatively attractive girl to get, like thousands of followers on social media, and 95% of these followers are not only completely strangers, but people who wouldn't want anything else from her than sex or anything around it, anything close to it, right? Well, maybe this specifically isn't something bad, to which you would say, someone could say, to which I would disagree, but okay, let's leave it like that. But the number of guys hitting on this girl, okay, is enormous, okay? I don't want to use the word gigantic again, but that's it, that's what it is. And psychologically speaking, I'm not saying this from a morality point of view, but from a psychological point of view. I'm not expert, just bringing my opinion, guys, here. Let me make it clear once again. But from a psychological point of view, this can cause the person's ego to grow, okay? And if this person is young, which probably is the case, because the younger we are, the more attractive we all are, apart from a few exceptions. But this could, okay, this is just a theory, guys, okay, don't be mad, but this could be, farming, for lack of a better verb, a generation of nosy people, a generation of narcissistic, all right, people, youngsters, right, that think that like they that consider themselves as celebrities, not to mention that they can make money today with social media. Someone with thousands or maybe millions of followers can make money, and then it could just, as I always say, money doesn't make anyone bad, but it brings potential. It potentializes the whatever it is that we have inside of us, right? So if the person is egocentric, narcissistic, this will be multiplied and put outside, So I don't want to get more specific here. I'm not even trying to say that this will happen to every, reasonably attractive person, reasonably attractive youngster, but this could happen. It could be happening right now, right under our noses, So yeah, let's at least look at it and be worried about it. I mean, not be worried, I am, but I'm not saying you should, but like, let us at least treat it with a little bit more of cautious, like, let's be a little bit more cautious, okay? All right, and the last part of this conversation would be still around social media, but like bringing the fact that social medias have, I think nobody would disagree to that, but social medias have brought somewhere, the worst of humans, in general. The worst inside people, the worst inside us, right? And one of the things that is really bad, is in the top 10 worst things about humanity, is the fact that we tend, not only men, also women, okay, mostly men, of course, to put like physical appearance above everything, okay? So let's just take this in consideration and think that today everyone's got a social media, and those people those who are richer, better looking, reasonably witty, reasonably smart, intelligent, well communicative, out there, they will have people on their feet inevitably, right? Maybe not everybody, certainly not everybody, thankfully not everybody, but a lot of people, and there will be, okay, let's go back a little, to the early days of school, right? To our days of school, so to say. There were the popular kids there, right? Today we have popular kids from all over the world, but let's just put it all over the country, So the number of people to whom our kids will be looking up, in a wrong way, has grown exponentially, The boy want to date the girl who is like, has millions of followers on Instagram, keeps texting her, although he deep inside knows she'll never text him back, or to them, other girls, other people, like not only to one. And also girls, they will be like desperately trying to get the attention of the popular, famous guys out there, only to 99.99% of the time of the cases to get disappointed, to feel sorry, to understand that she acted in a way that she was wasting her time. The same for boys, but this specific point for girls. So yeah, I would like just to share this preoccupation. I would really like to hear your opinion on it. And I hope I haven't sounded any moralistic or anything. This is totally not the point, because the purpose here is, of course, talk about relationships and, of course, to get to practice English. So please let me know your opinion in the comments section below. Thank you so very much. I see you in the next episode. That's all for today. Bye.